Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Jackie O. New and old subscribers alike, thank you for joining me. So today I'm doing this video and I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest with you. I have been wanting to do a drag tutorial since I've been on YouTube, literally since 2009, and it's been so nerve-wracking for me. Don't mind my BlackBerry. It's been so kind of nerve-wracking for me because the standards are so high, and quite frankly I really don't want to embarrass myself doing it. But you know what, it's Halloween. Well, it's the month of Halloween, October, and I'm gonna kind of go for it this year, and hopefully I do it justice. It's definitely going to be a full coverage, not something that you would wear every day. This is a tutorial for people that want to look like a drag queen. If you don't want to look like a drag queen, you probably don't want to watch this video. All right, we're going to move past that phase of judging the video, you know. So spare me the comments with the "you look like a drag queen." So look, I was going for a girl. So let's get started. As you can see, I left a head wrap on my hair. I really don't want all of the makeup and the product in my hair, so I just wrapped it up and pulled it back. You are going to need a full coverage foundation. The one I'm using is from MAC and it's called Full Coverage Foundation. I'm stippling the foundation on with a large powder brush. I'm going to apply it along the outer perimeter of my face. For the most part, I'm pretty much going to leave the center of my face alone. I'm also going to put a little bit along the sides of my nose. All right, all I'm doing, I'm not blending the foundation in, I'm just layering it on first. I then used a latex sponge and I am patting that foundation in to really get a full coverage effect. You can use a beauty blender for this step. It's totally up to you, but it's definitely going to be full coverage. I then used a darker concealer, and I'm going to be using this concealer around the low points of my face to contour. This is the Ben Nye Mojave Matte Foundation. The shade that I'm using is Cocoa Souffle, so it's about 3 shades darker than my natural complexion. I'm using a concealer brush. Angled foundation brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to be applying this dark color along my jawline. As you can see, I used quite a bit of product there. And then I'm starting to blend it downwards. That's creating a shadow effect, which is going to help sculpt the face a little bit more and define it out. It's also going to kind of look like a 5 o'clock shadow. You're also going to apply that in your temples. Along your temples, I should say. And then along the low points of your cheekbones. And I'm going to kind of feather that backwards once I get in that corner. I'm now going to take that same latex sponge we used earlier and start blending a bit of that. You don't want it to be too blended. This is definitely not the natural look. I'm going to then use some shadow shields underneath my eyes because we're going to be using some really heavy eyeshadow and glitter, and it's just going to create double work for me because I've already applied my foundation. So these bad boys here are going to help pick up all of that fallout we're going to be experiencing. I'm going to fill in my brows. I'm going to start the head of the brow pretty low, a lot lower than I normally do, all the way down there. As you can see, that's pretty low. And then I'm going to fill in the rest. I'm going to arch it a lot higher than I normally do as well. So you can already kind of see the transformation. Brows are super arched. Super arched. It's supposed to look like that. You can leave the head of the brow jagged like that. It's completely up to you. I'm going to brush it just a teeny tiny bit, just for a little bit of uniformity. That's it. I'm going to leave it as is. I'm using the Studio Sculpt Concealer in NW30 underneath my brows. The brush that you see me using is the 249 brush, and it's from MAC, and I'm just taking that concealer. Notice how much lighter it is compared to the rest of my skin. I'm just sculpting and shaping the brow. And then I'm going to drag that concealer downward. The idea is just to basically use products, techniques, and shades that are more dramatic than you normally would. Drag is just like a amped up version of your everyday makeup. You'd be surprised at how some of the techniques that we use are just watered down versions of what drag queens do. Using that concealer will also give the appearance of a more arched brow. You can kind of manipulate the brow shape with it. I'm going to put some of that concealer on my eyelid, and we're going to be prepping the lid for the eyeshadow that we're going to be using. I'm going to use the NYX eyeshadow base in white, and I'm applying this all over my eyelid from inner to outer corner. I'm also going to apply it into just beneath the brow bone. I'm using the Makeup Forever number 92 eyeshadow, which is that purple there, and I'm working with a Delium Tools. It's a pointed blending brush, which is really great for crease colors, and I'm applying that on the outer corner of my eye. I'm also winging it out towards the outer corner, and then I'm applying that, using it to carve into my crease. I'm also applying that eyeshadow quite like almost pretty much into my eyebrow, and then we're going to be winging that out towards the outer corner. I'm taking a 217 brush from MAC, and then I'm blending that out. Not too much. You want the lines to be kind of jagged. You don't want it to be over blended. Like, you don't want it to look wearable. I know that sounds terrible, but you kind of don't. I'm then going to use a matte black eyeshadow. This is from Sugarpill. It's called Bulletproof. I'm applying this color really heavy on the outer corner of my lid and into the crease, mixing it in with that purple. See how I covered like half of my eyelid? That's also an option. It's going to give kind of like a cat eye effect. It's glitter time. You need a sealant, or you can also use a lash glue. I'm using a sealant from LA Splash Cosmetic. I'm also going to be working with two different glitters, MAC Reflex 3D glitter, which is this silver one here, and then MAC Reflex Pearl. I'm going to go back and forth and just layer them one on top of the other. First, you want to apply a bit of that sealant onto your lid. I'm going to apply a bit of that sealant onto my eyelid first, wherever we didn't apply the black eyeshadow, the black and the purple shadow. That color is going right on that lid. I took a bit of a black pencil liner and just traced along that area to make it look more like a cut crease. Make that line look more harsh. And then I'm going to blend it out just a little bit. That's enough. Now I'm using my e.l.f. black liquid eyeliner. I'm going to really thicken the line on the outer corners of my eyes. So that's primarily where you're going to see a lot of the thickness of the liner, and then I'm going to just wing it out. And then I'm going to continue to draw. Then you're going to need to add some stupidly long and dramatic lashes. These are number 5s from Red Cherry. And because of how thick and long my lashes, I cannot add mascara until after I apply these. So I'm gonna pop these on first, then add some mascara. All right, so enter the lash invasion. I'm just using my tweezers to help me really get in there. I'll be adding some mascara later, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Lashes, lashes. I've got all these lashes on. Lashes. I'm adding a touch of mascara. This is the Maybelline Lash Stiletto. Actually, I'm lying. I'm not adding a touch. I'm really globbing this stuff on. By now, I think it's about time that we remove the shadow shields from underneath our eyes. That saved us tons of work. I'm now using the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, which is also a full coverage concealer. I'm very quickly going to start laying this underneath my eyes. And I say very quickly because this stuff has like a water resistant, waterproof formula. So once it's in place, it's in place. So layer it on all the way into the my temples. I'm gonna take a latex sponge and now I'm blending that concealer out. Once the stuff dries, it dries. So get it in while you can. I also added a touch, just a touch of the MAC Select Cover Up Concealer in NW25 on top of it to lighten it a bit. Again, like you really want exaggerated features. You want things to not look like you normally would wear them, basically. It's the easiest way I can explain it. Also apply this down the bridge of your nose, really heavy, up into the forehead, especially along the top of the brows. And then take your sponge and blend that out. But I'm really not gonna blend it too much. I actually kind of want the lines to be kind of harsh. So now you are slowly starting to see the highlights of my face starting to peek out a bit more. Using that Mojave Matte Foundation again, I'm going to use it to contour along the sides of my nose. And I'm also going to blend that up well into the head of my brows. So it's going to look like that. I'm also going to add a bit more of that in my cheekbones. Some of it kind of got washed out from the concealer that we used, so go ahead and reapply that. Now we need to blend some of that, and then for our cheekbones as well. Now I'm using the MAC Prep and Prime Transparent Finishing Powder, and I'm applying this with a latex sponge all underneath my eyes, all up under there. This is what's going to help make us look like we've got highlight on, ladies and gents. So take advantage of it. You don't have to use the Prep and Prime. You can use any setting powder for this step. It's completely up to you. This is also going to be applied down the bridge of my nose and then into the center, just the center of my forehead. Okay, now leave it like that. You're done. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to sweep a bit of it off, not too much. Now I'm using the Ben Nye Translucent Face Powder in Topaz. I am applying Topaz right underneath where I applied that darker color. What you're doing is just kind of playing with shadows, I guess you can call it. So it's going to help that contour stand out a lot more. I'm using the Chestnut Translucent Face Powder from Ben Nye. By the way, I decided I'm going to put a bit of Topaz underneath my eye for a super drag-esque golden glow. So yeah, after you've done that, apply your all-over powder. And this powder is really super red, which is why I wanted to use it. And I'm applying that underneath along my jawline, a little bit underneath the eye, and then a bit on the outer corners of my temple area, just basically on top of where we applied the contour. I'm going to use a white eyeliner pencil. The one that I'm using is from MAC. It is called Fascinating. I am applying Fascinating in my waterline, as well as along the my lower lash line. Okay. I then took Bulletproof eyeshadow, or the matte black eyeshadow we were using earlier, and an angled brush, and starting on the outer corner, I'm going to start drawing a line. Ooh. And I'm not going to fully enclose it. I'm going to leave some of that white on the inner corner of my eye. I'm also going to put a little purple in there too, just to make it look a little bit more edgy. I'm going to apply Floof eyeshadow in my brow bone, and this is going to show up super light and super frosty on me, but that's kind of the idea. And I put it on very heavy too. I'm also applying some of that floof down the center of my nose for highlight. Next, you're gonna need something really dark that you can contour with. This is the Shadowy from MAC, the Contour Pro Powder. Love this stuff. Applying this into the hollows of my cheekbones. And I'm also going to use a bit of just a little bit of a matte black eyeshadow in there too. Blending that into my temples. So it's gonna look like that along my jawline. Also applying that down the sides of my nose. I'm using Full Fuchsia blush from MAC on my cheeks. And of course you want a ton of it. It's gonna go great with the purple in our eyes. I'm using, what am I gonna use? I'm going to use the I Am Glam cheekbone highlighter from Giella, aka Mario Dedivanovich's product. And I'm gonna slather a nice amount of that right on my cheekbones. And I'm kind of undecided about what I want to do for the lip. I don't know if I want to do something bold. I don't want to know if I want to do something nude. I don't know. I've decided that I've made my decision. I'm gonna go with kind of like a contoured Barbie pink. Barbie pink, that's the best way of explaining it. I'm first going to line my lips with a dark burgundy liner. This is Courant from MAC. And then I'm going to start flicking that inward. Within that, I'm going to use Magenta lip pencil from MAC. And then I'm going to use Saint Germain lipstick from MAC in the center. I like it as is. I kind of want to see it with a gloss though. I'm applying Sugar Rimmed Dazzle-Glass. And I'm really gonna just concentrate it on the center of my lips. And there it is. Let's add a wig. Yay! All right, everyone, let's have a look-see at this final look. After the wig's been added, now it really feels like drag. It really feels like drag. All right, let's see. All right, everyone, that's all I've got today. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I really hope you guys found it helpful and enjoyable. This was a topic that I have been really trying not to mess up. I know that there's some really hardcore drag queens out there, so I really hope you guys like the look and I hope I did a great job. And I will see you guys at the next video. Bye. Okay, so what's my drag name? Like Pumpkin Peter? Lil Pumpkin? Never mind. I'm gonna just leave it alone.